Hey, welcome, everyone. It is finally happening. It is what everyone in the world has been waiting to see. It
The
is
world.
the whole world. It's Omie D and more or less getting together for Omie D Learns, the ODL experience.
The ODL experience.
This is gonna be hot, dog. This is gonna be hot. It's just I don't even understand what's going on yet, but you know what's going on.
Oh, I
So
do.
I know some stuff, you know a lot of stuff, but you've broken this all down. And so how this is gonna go, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Omi D, and this is the homie, more or less, and
Yo.
he has created so much interesting content based on educating everybody. I'm not just gonna say myself, but
I don't,
educating the world.
that is not true.
You don't think
No,
so?
no, no. I went in with this just to educate you.
Mm.
Like, I've got no interest in educating anybody else. I think if somebody watches this and learns anything, it's about you because everybody else already knows this. Like, everybody knows.
Okay, so I know I can say okay. Okay. So we'll see what I know. I know a lot of stuff, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to find out some things that we're going to know. So this is a podcast series if you have not realized what you're checking out right now, and there's a lot of good content coming for you. Just to let you know, today we're going to go over coffee. You see everybody's
Coffee.
got their coffee mug, and following coffee is going to be the other big C, cancer. Two serious
Mm,
things here in the US.
that's true. Episode 2 is going to be good.
I'm looking forward
Episode
to it.
1 is going to be good. What are you talking about?
Episode 1, 2, and 3 are going to kill the Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3
That's true.
because they were
Yeah, it's not
trash.
even a prequel. It's
Yeah,
real.
it's
Yeah.
real. This is the real episode 1, 2, and 3. Like, I don't know. There might be someone with like some reveal in episode 4, 5, and 6. I don't know. I have nothing to reveal, but I mean, who knows? Who knows? So,
uh,
tell everybody just a little bit about yourself before we get into in this if they don't know who you are.
I am Omie D's twin.
That's
Um,
right. That's right.
we, that's true. If you see the clock there, it's on our birthday. It's 4:17. Like
Boom.
we're about to get into it. Like it's time. Um, we met talking about Skittles because we
Skittles.
were in a classroom. We're like, "What's your favorite candy? What's your favorite candy?" I'm like, "Oh my God, are we twins? What's your birthday?"
He's like,
4:17. Four said
force.
that. Wait, hold on. We had the same haircut. Like definitely Omid's twin. I think we go way back. I think you boosted me to stardom one day. Like I've been riding your coattails for a few years. So you've definitely put me in the know with a lot of good people. So I really appreciate what you've done and how you've helped me rise, exploit my talents.
Is that how twins do it? I thought you were supposed to be telling us about yourself. That's kind of what you did for me. Like you put me in contact with so many great people, and I'm riding your coattails. So we got to figure out whose coattails we're riding on. But
I ain't. I don't. I'm not even wearing pants. Like I don't. I don't know what about coattails.
I got a hoodie on, so we'll figure it out. But either way it goes, we're gonna have some fun. Let's get into some coffee talk, like they used to
Let's
say
do
in the
it.
90s coffee talk. Let's go over to the magic scene. Look, did you ever watch I like Bill Cosby. Screw you guys if you don't like Bill Cosby. I know he did some fucked up stuff, but it's cool. Did you ever watch Bill Cosby's show Picture Pages when you were a kid?
Picture pages. No, but I'm going to go into what you said. Like, I know he did some fucked up stuff, but I still liked the show that he did and like a lot of the series. It's like saying, "Oh, I can't listen to Michael Jackson now because of this." I'm like, I totally listen to Michael
Yeah,
Jackson. Like, I listened
totally.
to it before, after. Like, I don't like what you call it. I believe I Can Fly
R.
came on
Kelly.
the radio, and I'm sorry, that's still a good song. That dude's about as crazy as you can get. Like what he's done is not okay, but man, if you're not getting into I believe I Can Fly when it comes on, you're not paying attention. Like I'm sorry, that's still a good song. So
I
yeah,
had to.
I hear you on Cosby. Yeah, it's
It
fine.
is. But anyway, I love how the show's like, hey, they always start with like some weird scene where they're like hanging out. It's like, all right, let's go over here. It's like, do 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 do
Oh,
do 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 do.
like You know what? They probably had like a part-time editor that had no idea what anything was about. They didn't get any script or anything. So actually they had to watch the show to decide what they were supposed to do in the editing studio because the editor was like, what is this? Never heard of this.
Romper room. The hell?
Yeah. Rapparoo. Is this one labeled Rapparoo? Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, topic-wise, do you
Coffee.
like coffee?
I'm getting into coffee right now.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I had an unfortunate first time experience with coffee when I was a
Uh,
youngster, a lad, and
okay.
it drove me away from coffee. But I think now, as my taste buds are becoming more cultured, just like my wine tastes are becoming more sophisticated and drier, I'm starting to have a little urge to taste a little coffee now. So,
An,
uh,
an unfortunate incident with like, no, you have an unfortunate incident as like a 13-year-old with peppermint schnapps. You don't have an unfortunate. What do you mean? Like, you can't just say that and leave. Like, what do you be unfortunate? Were you trying to snort it? What'd you do?
not that bad. Okay, I'm being very dramatic about how unfortunate it was. But so,
You?
me dramatic, I know. Who would have ever
All right.
thunk it? So I think I was probably about the wee age of 6, a little 6-year-old Omie D, and my grandfather at the time would always drink coffee in the morning. So he'd sit down at the
Mhm.
table, he'd have his coffee, I'd have my breakfast. My grandmother was an educator, so she'd go to school, and it's pretty cool being left home alone, well, home with your grandpa on a 55-acre farm. So he's always drinking his coffee every morning, and I would ask him, Papa, can I have some of that coffee? You don't want any of this, boy.
Mhm.
It don't taste good. You don't like it. So I would ask him every morning, every morning, every morning. And I still remember the one morning I asked him, I said, Papa, can I have some of that coffee? He goes, you know what? Go get you a coffee cup. So I went and stood on the cabinet, got me a little blue coffee cup. He poured me a cup of coffee. He asked me if I wanted cream in it. I was like, yeah, because that's what he put in his. So I put everything he
Yeah.
put in his. You want
Yeah.
some sugar? He had the sugar thing. He kept putting sugar in. He stirred it up. I was like, all right, it looks like chocolate milk, right? I'm ready for it. He put a little ice in it, so it was cool. I had iced coffee, man. I was ahead of the game back then, more or less. So then I take a sip of it, spit it all out. I'm like, it's the most disgusting thing I'd ever tasted at that point. And that was before I had malt liquor and whiskey.
You
So
are the most dramatic. What are you talking about? You said you had an incident with it, and
that
your
is an,
incident was I didn't like it.
that's horrible. It was horrible. It was so,
That's not an incident.
like so I couldn't call the police on it, but it was horrible. Like it was burned in my. Every time I saw coffee, I was like,
That's not an incident. That's just all right.
all right. So
All right. So I got introduced to coffee because went to church every weekend, every Sunday with
mm,
my mom, like church,
mm,
church, church. And like any kid, like you go to church because you think you have to or want to or all those things. And you find any excuse not to go in. And our church got new carpet.
oh yeah.
And it was like, oh, the new carpet in the church, like new carpet, like there's new carpet. And so they moved the coffee station outside because they didn't want anybody drinking coffee inside. So me and my friend Robbie poured ourselves a cup of coffee, and all the adults were like, oh, don't take that inside. We're like, okay,
Right
we'll
on.
leave it right out here. And they're like, as soon as you finish that, come in. We're like, but it's hot. They're like, oh, that's okay. Just don't bring it into church. Like, cool. Stand out here, drink coffee. Don't go into church. Got it.
Oh, hot
So
damn.
Robbie and I drink a lot of coffee.
Just shaking and stuff. Oh Jesus!
We didn't care what it tasted like. We're like, we got out of church because they love coffee more than God. Like, okay.
That is the best story ever. As soon as you said there's no coffee in the church, I was like,
Oh, well, but I've got this cup right here.
it's
They're
full
like,
of
well,
coffee.
I guess I'll stay outside.
It's been 3 hours.
Yeah. Yep. Time for that potluck. Let's go.
Oh, I love
All
that
right.
part of my
So
church.
I'm glad we got our coffee stories. I'm going to tell you everybody else's coffee story now. Let's go. So coffee's known around the world, right?
Hmm.
Like no doubt. The most recent data about coffee, it says that it's even more popular now that the populations are growing. Like it's getting huge. 2.25 billion cups of coffee are consumed in the world every day. 2.25 billion. Like Jeff Bezos could afford to buy us all coffee.
At least one cup.
It's just yeah. So there's a couple different origin stories trying to look into it, like trying to figure out what's going on. And the best one, the oldest one, was passed down word of mouth over and over and over, and there was no um, script of it. Nobody had kept track of it. It just kept being passed down, and so because of that, its validity is doubted. And I'm going to tell it anyway. So I'm going to tell you the origin story of coffee, even though it is technically not probable. But then I'm going to give you some science behind it that shows that scientists have gone back to prove that it is true, even though it was never scripted. So,
Okay.
you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. The origin
Ethi-
story of coffee.
Bam. Ethiopia. Goat herder named Kaldi. Kaldi, goat herder.
Yeah.
Kaldi is like a super famous name in the coffee world, whether he's real or just legend or ever been documented or not. Like he's super famous. And he's a goat herder. And the story goes that one day he noticed that his goats were acting strange. They were excited. They were more energetic and jumping around than usual goats. Are you familiar with goats?
Yeah, yeah. There's some goats around the neighborhood. I'm out in a rural area, so I ride my motorcycle
Yeah.
and saw some baby goats the other day. They jump around a lot. They're cute.
They jump around a lot,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I'm thinking about that while I'm reading this story. I'm like, jump. They climb things like from cartoons. They ate cans.
Yes,
I
yes, they do.
like goats are crazy.
Yeah.
And so this story starts off with him going, my goats are acting crazy. I'm like, no, goats are crazy.
Yeah,
What do you mean they're
yeah,
acting crazy?
yeah.
Like, how does that make them crazier? Like, so if all right, I would totally get it if the goats were acting like slow and bothered because they had a long night,
Yeah,
and the
partying.
goats are like, "Hey, Caldy, can we just chill out on this hill for a little bit longer? My head is killing me." The goat's smoking a cigarette,
Yeah.
popping some little red berries that Caldy'd never seen before. He's just eating these little berries, and Caldy's like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh man, after a few of these, I'll be ready to go, and I'll be jumping around and climbing on trees and eating cans again. But just give me a minute." Like that would be weird for a goat,
hmm
not an excited goat.
No, no, you're right. 100%. A goat laying down on the ground, I would be very concerned about.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Eh,
oh well. All right. So the story goes that Caldy notices that his goats are excited, and that's like important. So
So
Caldy
so
recognizes
he's
that
looking at other people's goats too. I guess
I don't know. He's a goat
he's
herder,
I
right?
guess.
I haven't spent much time herding goats. He's a goat herder. You're Kaldi, Ethiopia, recognizes his goats are going crazy, and so he recognizes that they're eating these red cherry-like berries. Because I don't know if you, I think you've got an image of it. Like there's uh, berries that is actually the coffee fruit.
Bam.
So over there on the left, it's a bright red berry, and in fact, the first word for it described wine. So it's an Arabic word, kawa, and if I've got it wrong, I'm deeply sorry, but kawa, and it described wine, not coffee. And every word after that described coffee because everybody else realized that it's not the fruit that mattered, it's that seed that's in the middle of that fruit. So like in the middle of a
Oh.
cherry, you've got the pit. The coffee bean is not a bean at all. It's the seed of a fruit. Okay.
GTFO. I had
So,
no idea that's what it looked like when it grew.
and that's where we start. Like it's a berry that grows on a bush. Okay.
Looks like it.
And you can still like the berry itself is supposed to taste like honey. It's like super sweet. Like it's good. Like why don't we eat these? And I think the answer is because the coffee bean is so much more popular than the fruit on the outside.
But I
Like
want
it
the
would,
fruit.
yeah. One day we got to get the fruit, and I think we'll eat the fruit for like a week and be the coolest people on the planet, and then go, you know what? I want a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I want to grow it.
Right? Yeah. Let's sure. Yeah. So, all right. So Caldy notices his goats eating these berries because he's eating that red berry. They didn't care about the bean, right? So he noticed that something's going on. The berries are super sweet. He noticed that they tasted like honey. So of course he recognized that was the fruit. He wasn't paying attention to the bean in the middle of it, and he took the berries to his friend that was a monk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess goats and monks, like that's their friends.
That's what they hang out with.
So right. So his friend is fasting, and he's been fasting, like trying to praise the Lord, like just make sure, like I can't eat to appease the Lord, like God's gonna smite me and I'll be smote upon if I eat anything. I've got to go without food. And Caldy walks in. He's like, "Hey man, I've got some berries." Caldy, why?
Come on, bro.
I'm a monk.
Yeah,
Like
I'm about that life.
I'm about that don't smote me God life. I'm trying to not eat. And you walk in here with some berries, Caldy? So, Caldy's like, "Hey man, I just, thought you might be able to help me out and tell me why my goats are going crazy." And the monk's like, "Nah, fuck your coffee berries," and throws them into the fire.
Mm. Mm.
Have you ever been around coffee roasting?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what it smells like?
Yeah, it's a very strong smell. It smells like
Mm-hmm.
roasting coffee.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that happened after this monk threw all these berries in the fire. Like
Dick.
your berries are in the fire, and then they're like, oh,
Mm.
oh, that smells good. I like that. And coffee, even the smell of it, can suppress the appetite, which is perfect if you're a monk trying not to eat.
Oh, Jesus, I need coffee.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, bring that back over here." So they scrape that out of there, and what do they know about? They know about tea. So he puts it into a tea, and not only does it suppress his appetite, but he gets all sorts of excited, doesn't eat, and stays up all night to praise God.
That's why everybody drinks coffee in church. It's part of the
That's
deal.
there you go.
That's what the
That's it.
preachers learn. Give all the people
That's
coffee
it.
and they'll stay and praise Jesus and give you money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're not spending it on food.
Because you don't want to eat. I'm going to have some coffee in the morning and suppress my. Is that how people get skinny? They drink coffee? That's my problem. I don't drink coffee.
Yes, it's coffee. Coffee is why people are skinny. That's it. Yeah. So the goats and monks is the story of Caldi and the original coffee bean, like how they discovered to not eat that thing that's in the middle and to dispose of the fruit. And that story was just told because it's just a good story. But coffee wasn't documented until the 15th century in Yemen. And then it goes to Mecca. And actually, it gets to Mecca. And it's crazy because Mecca is the first place to ban coffee.
Oh.
And they banned coffee, and it didn't last very long. It didn't last very long at all because the leaders in Mecca, I guess they were so on edge that they thought that coffee led to higher levels of thinking, better communication, and eventually a revolt against them.
So
they're like, "Oh, we don't want people thinking."
Yeah, so it's not weed.
Yeah. It's not. In Europe, they tried to ban coffee as well because they called it satanic, because Muslims drink it. And so what was cool is, let's see, Europe, no, that was Ethiopia. They called it a Muslim drink. And so people were like, "Oh, don't drink that. That's a Muslim drink." But you know what? The emperor and the bishop liked coffee. So they went, no, it's fine. Bring that over here. And they baptized it.
What did they drop the coffee in water? Like, what did they do to baptize it? Like, how do you baptize a drink?
So you baptize it, and then that gets rid of the curse of racism, apparently.
That's what it is. We need to tell the people in the South that's what it is.
There you go. Yeah. So they were allowed to drink coffee again. And none of these bans lasted for more than 20 years because it was like, wait a minute. I want that. fast forward, like it pops up all over the place pretty quickly, and it exploded in America.
Hmm. Go ahead.
Let's see, when uh, King George decided to increase the tax on tea.
So everybody was all like, "Yeah, fuck your tea. We're gonna drink coffee now."
Well, not exactly. There was a thing in between that. They said, "Yeah, fuck your tea," and threw it into the river
Ah, the
just
Boston Tea
outside it,
Party.
just outside. And then they went, "Oh, wait,
Wait,
I like tea. What
we
else do you got?"
we ain't got no drinks.
And somebody went, Caldi's coffee? And they went, all right, let's do this. Let's go.
Thank you,
So
Caldy.
without tea, they got into coffee.
Man, that is so crazy how patriotism started Starbucks.
That might be true. Thank you, Boston. Love you, Seattle.
Seattle, yeah. Shout outs to the what is it? The siren that's on the Starbucks thing
Yeah,
with
it's a siren. Yeah.
their legs wide
Mhm.
open, inviting everybody to come and
That's not that's her tail behind her, but if that's the way you okay, that's fine. Yeah. All right. Um, all
what's
right, so
yours?
we're on the coffee bean, and that's the history of it. I want to real quick jump into coffee roasting.
Roasting.
Roasting, we got time for roasting?
Yes, we do.
Cool. All right. So coffee roasting is pretty cool. And the bigger coffee gets and the more coffee is sent around the world, the more that coffee growers and distributors can bundle coffees similarly. And what I mean by that is they don't just go, well, this entire field is all we got and we sold it all. They can like, okay, this one is the climate was cooler and it's going to have this flavor and this aroma. We're going to sell this over here. And they can start bundling specialty coffees. And now you have your more elite coffees and your better coffees, your warehouse coffees and
Mm.
your poor coffees, your rich coffees, and all that. You can start sending out because they can start setting all that up.
So what is the
Kind of,
most elite coffee right there? What do I need to be drinking?
I I don't think that you should be looking for different types of coffee. I think you should really pay attention to what people are doing to coffee.
Okay.
And here's why. Like it's not quite like wine where different regions produce different things, because that is true. Different regions produce different flavors and everything, but it's more like steak.
Ooh.
Have you ever had a well done steak?
Oh, yeah. Mm.
What does that taste like?
Cardboard. It's not good.
All right. So, I mean, well done steak, you're going to get like char, you're going to get
Mm.
burn, you're going to get crisp, you're going to get jerky flavors,
Yeah,
right? Like,
it tastes like shit.
all right. So, now what if you have a well done steak that's an expensive steak?
Expensive shit.
Okay. Fair enough. So, if you get your steak well done, it doesn't matter. Like quality doesn't matter anymore.
True.
That's a better comparison for coffee.
Okay.
So when you go into roasting coffee, you start roasting it, it starts pulling out these not essential oils, coffee oils and flavors and caffeine. It starts pulling all this out. That's why your darker roast is oily and it smells good because all that's coming out of the bean and it's out of the
Oh.
bean.
So it's not in the coffee anymore.
Bingo. Okay. So your flavors,
Ah.
when you look at dark roast, are going to be the same almost no matter what kind of bean you're dark roasting. It's just going to be toasted marshmallow. And do you know what toasted marshmallow is? Burnt sugar, which is good, but it's burnt sugar. Like you're just saying, oh, this coffee tastes like other dark roast coffees, which is going to happen when you dark roast some coffee.
So they just throw some
So,
sugar in the dark roast, basically.
amen. don't don't spill it on the carpet. All right, so that's dark roast. So the more you roast it, the more you're going to release everything from the beans. So go light roast,
Yeah, in the middle.
and that's where you're going to get the bigger flavor profiles. That's where you're going to keep the caffeine if that's what you're going for. That's where you're going to taste more of the fruit because it's a fruit seed. That's where you're going to get
Ah.
the caramel and the sweeter flavors. So a light roast, which probably to Americans sound worse, is a more flavorful coffee because all that flavor's still in the bean. You're like, these beans are dry. Yeah, guess what happens when you boil them?
You lose everything.
Or no, you get everything. You lose it in
Yeah,
the coffee. When you roast it, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so it's not like cabbage where you boil it all out and all the nutrients. So, question.
Have you ever held a cabbage?
Yes, it's like a
Have you ever
football.
held a coffee bean?
Yes.
Are those two things the same?
No.
Okay, no, it's not like cabbage. You're right. So
Right.
it's not like
It's
cabbage.
not
There
like
you go,
cabbage.
ladies and gentlemen. Coffee.
We
It's not like
It's not
cabbage.
like cabbage. We explained everything here. Now you're more knowledgeable. So if someone wants pumpkin spice, so the flavors that come in the coffee that Starbucks has, is that based on
Mhm.
flavor profile of that actual bean, or do they use like a middle bean, or like how
No,
does?
there's a region in Brazil that grows a pumpkin spice. No, it's they add the flavor to.
I just wanted to see what you were going to say. There's a region in Brazil. It's the pumpkin spice region of Brazil. It's
Yeah,
south
there's
of the
there's this one
rainforest.
grower over in Colombia that specializes in no,
Oh,
it's
Pedro.
it's a syrup that they add to it. What are you talking about?
So what is the average? So if we would say like a Folgers, the Folgers Crystal bean, where would that be on this scale? I mean, I know it's not a dark roast, but like the average
It's
Folgers, where would
probably that medium roast.
that medium roast?
So also Folgers, like they're a little bit more sophisticated than just known for the giant tin can they have. Like you can get an espresso, which is going to be a darker roast as well. And even if you look at like espresso caffeine,
Hmm.
it is less than a cup of coffee.
What? They act like
So
espresso is way more caffeine.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's 80 milligrams of caffeine in espresso. But then a full cup of coffee, like let's say 8 ounces, was like 120. So if you only drink that much espresso, yes, the espresso has more because it's condensed and pressed. But
Hmm.
no, overall, um, compared to a full cup of coffee, it is not more caffeine.
Okay, so we would want if we were to pick a very tasty, highly caffeinated coffee bean to grind on our own, you would want something more on the light profile, right?
Oh, if you're going for caffeine, yeah, you want to go light. So a lot of times, because light doesn't sound good, they're
Hmm.
called breakfast blend.
Oh, that's what a breakfast blend is.
That's light roasted coffee
Get a breakfast
because
blend.
light roasted does not sell as well as dark roasted.
Uh, well, that's odd in America that the dark roasted would sell more than the light. I think right
Well,
now
because when you
everybody
when you
wanted
when you
healthy.
crack it open, it smells more. You crack open a dark roasted bag, like the aroma's there because they've cooked all that out of it. So you pop that open, you're
Oh,
like, that smells good. I'm like, but that would happen if I cooked or brewed the light roasted coffee.
so is there a place that I could purchase light roasted coffee to like maybe brew for in the morning? Because I'm about to get into coffee. I mean, this is right on time. I need to know because I want the real stuff. So how would I find this breakfast blend? Would any breakfast blend is going to be that way?
I I looked up the story like 2 days ago. I added some of my own points to it. I don't know. Um, I'll find you some breakfast blend and send it to you for Christmas if you like. But
Yay! Jingle
yeah.
bells, jingle bells. Yes, yes. And then the
I
next
don't
time,
know. I think so. Like I'm not a coffee connoisseur. I'll drink dark roasted coffee, but I recognize that I have to drink more of that to get the caffeine that I need from light roasted.
that's crap. I'm gonna find some breakfast blend that's a fancy breakfast blend, and I'm gonna. I honestly said I was going to get into coffee, and I wanted to do that. And now that we've done this show, I've learned a lot more about coffee. And I'm gonna tell you what my favorite part about this show was, and it's gonna be this right here: the goat with the coffee cup. Look, the goat with the coffee cup kills me. I love it. He's just like,
so
yeah.
so here's the thing, and I don't know it from personal experience, but in looking up this in Ethiopia, Kaldi is the name of the corner coffee shop. Like everywhere you go, you see Caldi's Coffee, and it's got these jumping goats on it as their logo.
Yes, I'm going to find them and order a T-shirt from them.
Yeah. So bring on some jumping goats from Caldi's Coffee. So I mean, the story, even though it wasn't documented when it originally happened, has been told word uh, word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. So it's legend. Oh, and how they think that it is a true story
Hmm.
is because they can run the genetic code of today's coffee beans and trace it to the coffee beans grown in Ethiopia.
Ah, that's hilarious. I love it. I'm all about goats and monks. That story was great. Look, if you're just now catching the end of this because you somehow like passed the story about the goats and the monks, you need to get into that. Look, this has been a great show. I am excited about this series. It's going to be awesome. I learned so much about coffee to the point that I'm actually going to go out and I'm going to buy a coffee bean. Look, let's go back to this scene right here and close out because we'll be starting the next episode soon and you'll be able to learn a lot more about cancer and I'm going to learn a lot more about cancer. So I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you, sir, putting
Yes,
together
sir.
such a
Appreciate you.
an amazing show. Cheers to you.
Indeed.
And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time with Omie D Learns here with Omie D and more or less. Everybody be good and we'll catch you later.